name is Jamie. I live in Saudi Arabia and I have a makeup collection that just keeps getting larger. It didn't today, but it did yesterday. So let's talk about it, but we're not going to be talking about that today. We're going to be talking about something more fun and that I'm very excited to do for you. I went to the Sephora and I went to the NYX and I picked up some products. I'm just going to get this out of the way quickly. I got into some more skincare this time. My skin has been going absolutely through it and I've been going through it, so that probably adds up. I got this clarifying cleanse and hydrate kit from Tatcha. Tatcha just came to Saudi Arabia, so I've been wanting to try it. It's just ungodly expensive, and this was like 123 Rial. So to try the brand, I thought that was a fine deal. I'm sure like if you really like it, it's not a good deal at all. But I wasn't gonna buy Drunk Elephant this time. I wasn't gonna do it. I also have this on my face today. I have the, what is it? The water cream moisturizer, and I have that over the polyglutamic acid serum from the Inkey List. I really like the Inkey List. It works well with my skin. Lately, I've been using a lot of CeraVe, and I mean like within the last 6 months. I bought a bunch of CeraVe when I went home, and that's all I've been using, and I was like, yeah, I'll just invest in some good serums, but A, I haven't done that, and B, I just feel like my skin isn't what it should be. Like, I have a lot of congestion and buildup on my chin, and just, it's not quite there. I need a little bit more, but man, I don't want to buy Drunk Elephant, and my skin loves Drunk Elephant. It's horrible. So anyway, I'm gonna try to use this and see if I can sort of boost my CeraVe, and then also I have this to play with to see if I like it. So I also got the retinol serum. I have, is this the same as what I have? Oh yeah, I have this. I've been using this for a long time. Oops. Yeah, I've been using this for a long time. I needed a refill. I thought it would be something different for some reason, like more in a like bottle. But anyway, I also picked up a couple things from the NYX store. I got the Ultimate Shadow and Liner Primer from NYX. I'm not going to use this today. I'm going to save it for when I'm out of my normal Juvia's Place Eye Prep Eye Prime. And then I got the brow glue from NYX. I've never tried it before, so I was interested. And I got some Epic liner. I don't know. I like NYX. I tend to, anyway. Okay, super sorry if you can hear my washing machine. I must do laundry. I must. Okay. What we're gonna be doing today is I'm gonna be talking about episode 2 of 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way. Season 4. Yeah, season 4. So we're introduced to a couple more couples. Wait, maybe one more couple. And this is the couple that I'm looking at with a like magnifying glass, okay? And I'm gonna be using the Flora Story palette. This is from Odin's Eye. I got this just this week, so I wanted to give it a try. And yeah, I'm gonna list all of the things that I'm using on my face down below in the comment section, or not the comment section, what am I saying? In the description. So, anyway, let's get into it. Before I get started, I might want to disclaim myself because I don't want anybody to take anything that I have to say too seriously. These are just my opinions and this is just for fun. So if you are upset or if you feel some type of way about what I'm saying, I'm so sorry, but it's not that deep. Okay, so it's all right. I'm a nice lady. We can talk about it. It's okay. So we kind of open up the episode with Danielle and Johan in Dominican Republic, and they are going to his family's house in order to check out his family and say hi. And this is directly after Danielle has told Johan that they are not going to the States. They will not be traveling to the States, period. And she kind of uses this occasion to like deter an argument or like put pause on an argument that she doesn't want to have. Like, she kind of uses his family as a buffer to not have this particular argument right away, which is a little bit manipulative, let's be serious. So his family loves her, and it seems though they are kind of disappointed that they're not going to be going to the States, or she's not like super excited to take him and isn't like just dying to go back or whatever. They have a conversation where they really butt heads, And at the end of the clip, they kind of appear to have reached a compromise, but both of them are still like, no, it's gonna happen my way. It's happening my way, right? He's especially confident that she is going to change her mind once she lives in DR for a little while, which is a valid perspective, but he also doesn't know what it's like to live in the US. So we're gonna see this theme throughout. Next, oh my God. Next we open up on a new person to us, and that is Nicole. So Nicole is working as a delivery driver, and she also resells vintage clothes, and she is 38, living in LA, and she's got great skin, by the way. Also, my favorite part about Nicole is that she's from Council, Idaho, and her partner is from Cairo, Egypt. So again, I may have a thing or two to say about it. By the way, if you're new here, I'm from Idaho. I am from Pocatello/Boise, Idaho. Grew up in Pocatello, lived in Boise for many, many years, and Council, Idaho is just north of Boise, and there ain't nothing there. There is a lot of snow and a lot of mountains there. So automatically, I know this girl. I know her type. I know kind of what her exposure level is. So she went to Egypt on like a soul journey. So a lot of guided meditations and things like that. And she met her partner, Mahmoud, in a fabric store. So press pause right there. Okay. Okay. So if I'm not mistaken, and by the way, if you're new here, I lived in Egypt for a year, and I have news about that, but we'll talk about that another time. When or if you ever go to Cairo, and if you are ever going to the pyramids, that's like logically where everyone wants to stay. Everyone wants to stay close to the pyramids. And it is a low income area. It is creepy. It is weird. There are, nope, not my first choice of places to stay, to be quite honest. What should I do? By the way, I'm going to this palette and it's quite beautiful, but I don't know where to start. Nothing is dark enough. It's all very one tone. Anyway, so I kind of understand potentially the area where she was like staying and kind of where her brain was at the time, what her headspace was at the time. And yeah, people go to Egypt on kind of these like spiritual excursions, and it's totally great for that. Don't get me wrong. So she's kind of in this like headspace of everything is love, life is love, life is what I make it. I don't know, like just a little bit of a meditative headspace. And she meets her partner Mahmoud in a fabric store. By the way, Mahmoud, you could find like 10,000 Egyptian men that look exactly like him. Just FYI. She's like, I saw this guy with big brown eyes at the fabric store. And I'm like, girl, and his ears, he has friggin', I mean, I have gigantic bat wing ears. His ears are like out to here. And just, there's 100 million of them that look exactly like him. You could have picked anyone else and they would look exactly like him. I digress. But anyway, so she goes to the fabric store and she's talking to this super interesting boy with big brown eyes from Cairo, and he's just so interesting. And he says to her that she should stay in Egypt and be his wife. They all say that. All of them. I'm not being mean and catty. They're all like that, okay? I straight up met like this guy on a guided tour, or not even directly met this guy on a guided tour. He was from Abu Sir, so near Giza, like near the pyramids. And I had known like who he was through a tour company. So I was like, oh, he's fine. He's fine. He was straight convinced I was going to be his wife. Okay? We spent like an hour and a half together out in the desert riding horses, and he was convinced I was marrying him. This is real shit. And he was furious when I went. I was like, you're crazy. What are you? No. No. My Muhammad is different. By the way, I really want to get my hands on this documentary that is basically about older women going to Egypt and marrying much, much younger Egyptian men. And the documentary is titled My Muhammad is Different, which is among expats in Egypt kind of a running joke. Like, we all kind of make fun of these women that are a bit fresh off the boat. Like, not make fun, but we're just like, oh, sweetie pie, stop. We kind of like have this understanding of like women who just got to Egypt and they're like, you know, dating this guy Muhammad, because Muhammad is the most common name in the entire world, by the way. And they say like, no, don't worry. My Muhammad is different. No, he's not. No, he ain't. He's the same as all of them. That's not to say that all Egyptian men are like this. They're not. But especially in the lower income areas, like I talked about in episode 1, they're a bit predatory on Western women because they know that they're naive. So anyway, let's watch this a little bit.
6 years old, and he was from Cairo. He asked me if I like Egypt, and I said, I love Egypt. I want to stay in Egypt. It's amazing. And he said, you should stay in Egypt and be my wife. And I was like, oh, ha, ha, ha. It's so funny. We exchanged social media and then hung out later that night. The following day, I had a flight around 10 o'clock at night, but we spent most of the day together. I thought about just staying there, but I didn't. I was like, no, you gotta go home. Be wise here.
Yeah, I mean, she's just very naive. And that's the thing, is that she's from Idaho. She hasn't been exposed to a lot of Muslims and Muslim culture and kind of how it works. So I'm really not shocked that she kind of got lured in by this, you know? And we'll kind of talk more about that later.
Like, we were talking like every single chance we could. We really started to fall in love. It couldn't have been more than 5 days after I was back in America where he asked me if I really would come to Egypt and marry him. I don't even know if I'd ever even actually thought about being a wife before. I've always just been single and independent. I said yes, of course, yeah. 7 days after that, I was on a plane back to Egypt to marry him and be with him forever. I married him at the Justice Department. Not long after that, we had like an actual wedding party. I told no one. I was so madly in love with Mahmoud, and I was so excited about this new life that I was about to be living. I thought that the magic was just going to be like that always, living in Egypt. But I was in for a rude awakening. It was much different than I thought. I was there for 2 months. I just needed to go. I needed to get out of there, back to America.
So it does sound like an extreme whirlwind, and that's kind of what they do. I didn't experience this quite the same, and also like I experienced this more in the from the safety and comfort of the US, where like I had friends and family to support me, where just like you meet this guy and he is Muslim and he just absolutely love bombs you, and you kind of don't know what to do with it, because there is not a man in America that just goes commitment. They don't. And so to kind of have it be so direct and so like fierce like that is very intense as a feeling, and you're kind of like, but really? Like, and there's almost kind of a curiosity killed the cat sort of situation involved with that, where, yeah, you are like, are you serious? Are you serious? And they are. Or they could be. Or they're not. But they still kind of look and play the part. You know what I mean? So that's the thing, is that why did she only last 2 months? I can tell you why she only lasted 2 months. So it's a tough environment. Egypt, Cairo specifically, is a wild environment. There are, I want to say, like 30 million people living in Cairo. And so if you're from even LA, got nothing on Cairo. Like, it's huge, first of all, and it's loud and it's noisy and it's busy, and I am curious to see kind of what area he lives in, because I'll probably be able to recognize it. And if he's where I think he is, it's going to be terrible for her. She's going to be looked at all the time. People are going to come up and talk to her and be weird at her, potentially, and it's just not going to be a comfortable environment for her. And especially with how conservative he ends up being, I think I know where he's from and where he lives, and she's not going to be treated that well by the locals. She's just not. And I'm sorry to say that. It's not like anybody is going to go out of their way and be mean to her, but she's not going to feel comfortable. That's all I have to say about that. We see Chris talking to Jamie on a video call. They're just excited. There's kind of a lot of filler in this episode, to be honest, which is kind of good for me, because my last whole thing with this series took forever. It took forever to upload. So we see Chris going, like, talking to Jamie, going to the airport. Yeah, just stuff like that. Oh, I need a primer. Hang on, I'll be right back. So I noticed, like, Chris's daughter seems a bit more skeptical of everything than her son. Her son is also 18, so he's not, you know, I'm sure he doesn't really know, like, what to think. So yeah, like, in general, her kids seem a little bit skeptical. So, yeah, this also drives me nuts. This is her first time ever leaving the US, and she doesn't know what to expect, and that just is... Americans, okay? Like, get your passport. Just, like, book a trip somewhere. You know, it doesn't have to be super intense, but just go out and see the world a little bit. It's, first of all, a nice place full of nice people, and you can just experience what it's like to leave the US without so much pressure and without so much riding on it. Just an idea. So yes, in any case, Chris has never left the US. Did I do a cut crease? Yes, because I'm predictable. So next we cut to Gabe and his mom. His mom's really sweet, but kind of asks, like, why the rush, which is a reasonable question, okay? And the reason we find out that he is in kind of a rush is that he really does need his visa to Colombia. Like, there's kind of a time constraint on how long he can actually spend there and how many months out of the year he can be there without having a residency visa or whatever. So that's kind of at least the reason for the rush. It's not quite as, like, romantic, I guess. I don't know. Then it cuts to Isabel in Colombia, and she's a single mom. She seems to be kind of a nice lady. She's had some bad experiences. We meet her and establish what we already know about her, and she's afraid of what her parents are going to think about Gabe. So there's that. Okay, next we cut to Jen having a family dinner with her mother, her sister-in-law, and her brother. And we get the impression from Jen's mom that she's kind of known Jen to always be sort of a free spirit, and she has this kind of tendency to wander. Jen's mom says that she's experienced what she can in the US, and she just wants to find love.
It's not like something that I take lightly or that I'm like running away. He can't live in the US. Rishi's like the main support for his brother, his younger cousin, and his mom.
So there's potential there for you to have a solid support system with his family.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So what does his mom think of you?
So I didn't bring this up earlier because with COVID and stuff, like, I didn't know when this was going to happen or how. And it's one of the reasons I think that he has not done this, but there's something that I haven't told you guys. And, I just have to say it. His family doesn't know about our engagement.
You're kidding, right? Doesn't know that you guys are engaged?
No.
Oh.
In Indian culture, the firstborn child, but especially the firstborn son, has an incredible amount of pressure put on them. So the expectation of the entire family is that that child provide. So he is not actually allowed to make a lot of choices in his own personal life. And it's miraculous that they allowed him to step away from being a lawyer and start being a personal trainer and a model. That is almost unheard of, first and foremost.
Do they even know you're his girlfriend?
He introduced me as a friend.
Why doesn't he want his mom to know?
Okay, so some years ago, he told them that he didn't want to do an arranged marriage, that he was doing a love marriage. But a love marriage and a love marriage with someone that's not Indian is like two different things. And it's just like, it's gonna be a shocker, I think. In India, it's a huge deal for you to have a love marriage, not an arranged marriage. It's not something easily understood. Thankfully, Rishi's family has agreed to let him choose his own wife, and I hope that they will accept me.
Oh, Jen. So, first of all, she isn't wrong, but she really doesn't understand the true gravity of the situation, in that his family can straight up refuse to never allow them to get married, ever. And he'll never get another job. He'll never be able to socialize with anyone in public. He won't be seen or publicly received by people. It's a big deal. So what she also hasn't been told or hasn't been brought up until right now, or it hasn't been brought up yet, is that she's older than he is, and she is past childbearing age. No. It's not gonna work. This is just my opinion. This is just a guess, but I don't think they are getting married. I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's gonna work. I don't think he can marry her. I don't think it's not even it's not even up to him. It's not even up to him. He cannot marry her. And she doesn't understand how much of an impact his family has on his day-to-day life. And I think it's cute that her family thinks that his family is going to support her. They will never support her. I hope I'm wrong. That's my hope, but I'm probably not wrong. They're never going to support her. They're never going to like her. They're never going to acknowledge their relationship. He is going to be forcibly married to another girl. That's how this is going to end. So when I said Arabs are hard to understand, Indian culture is next level, seriously. The other thing about this that is pretty concerning to me really is that there's no plan of action either. She's going in not having from him a clear plan of action of how they are going to introduce this idea to his family. And she's just like, well, it would be really devastating if his family didn't accept me. They're not going to. They're really not. And she is like, well, it'd be really devastating if he chose his family over me. He does not have a choice. There isn't a choice. It's so not up to him, but she doesn't even necessarily realize that. And unfortunately, like, you just wouldn't know that until you have had a negative experience sometimes. So on the one hand, it's not her fault that she doesn't understand intrinsically how this culture works. But on the other hand, oh my God. Oh my God. So, like, find somebody. Go to a forum. Like, search Reddit. See if this is even viable, if it's even possible. So, for example, there are a lot of, like, expat groups in Egypt, and again, not to be shitty or anything, but like, on these expat groups that are for women in Egypt, there's all these stories about just like the cultural issues that Western women and Egyptian men have, and like, it's even sometimes that like the Egyptian man has taken the children. Like, there's a lot that can happen here. And again, India, not the same, but you're walking into a situation where you don't have the upper hand. You have the upper hand in the US. You do not have the upper hand in India.
Past, I've put timelines on things and pushed guys, but it's backfired. So I'm treading lightly and letting Rishi set the pace with this thing. But I'm uprooting my entire life for him, so I'm counting on him to marry me, no matter what his family or anyone else says. It will be the true test, I guess, of whether he loves me or not, because I don't believe that you could love someone, ask them to marry you, and then be like, oh, you know what, my family's not going for it, and I'm not going to fight for you.
So this is a little sad to me, because it is clear to me that she is kind of trying different things in order to maybe make this relationship successful. So I definitely did that in the past, where I was kind of like, you know, this isn't my culture, this isn't my family, and I'm gonna leave it up to you to deliver the message to your parents that I exist and that we are a thing and you intend to move forward with it. And guess what? Nope. No. If I can impart any bit of advice to anybody that is in kind of this situation, if they are not pretty upfront about making a plan to figure out what their parents think of you, and you don't physically meet their parents, and he's not clear with them about who you are to him, he's not serious. I've had good experiences with this, and I've had bad experiences, and yeah, it's really, really hurtful to be put in a situation where his family doesn't even know you exist, doesn't even know you're a thing. And thankfully, I've had a couple of really good experiences with this, where I was introduced to the parents, and I was introduced as a girlfriend to the parents. So my current boyfriend, yes, I have my boyfriend again. My current boyfriend, I met his mom years ago. I mean, I haven't physically met her, but she knows exactly who I am. I have talked to her on the phone many, many times. I've FaceTimed her many, many times. I am his girlfriend. It's established, and I know it's scary, it sucks, but come on, Jen, like, you're not 22 years old, you're 46. You gotta kind of see this a bit. And I feel like you should have a bit more experience in this department, where, you know, like, I see that she's trying, and she doesn't want things to end up how they have been for her in the past, but Come on, this is... So next we cut to Nicole talking to her friends about how she's going back to Egypt, and they seem really surprised. It's Nicole's second time moving to Egypt, and they're kind of like, but wait, what happened the last time? So, what did happen the last time? Lord. Oh, Nicole. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about with that. The man that you're seeing loves you for exactly who you are initially, but then when it starts to get a bit more serious or you're already married, suddenly they want you to dress in a certain way, act a certain way, or maybe don't say things in a certain way. And yeah, we're not used to that, first of all. So it's her naivety, like her naivety is glaring at this point, and his expectations are completely unreasonable. She would never guess the importance of these like cultural conventions that are prevalent for him. She would never know this, and he didn't, I don't know. What about this woman made you think that she was going to understand and appreciate this from you? She wouldn't. So neither of them can really conceptualize where the other one is coming from, because just given where they grew up. And again, it's not like, it's much like Indian society where everyone knows everyone and everybody talks about everyone. So there's an expectation of behavior among everyone, and the culture itself upholds those expectations of how everyone acts, about how men act, about how women act. And first of all, in Egypt, men's bad behavior gets excused all the time. And a woman does not get to behave badly in their eyes, you know, and yeah, there's a lot going on there. So if you're unfamiliar, yes, they do marry their cousins. They do. They marry their first cousins quite a lot. It depends on the family, it depends on the situation, but yeah, they marry their first cousins. They do. And if he had not found her first, he could have very, very easily married his first cousin or second cousin or whatever. And then in Islam, it is absolutely prohibited to drink alcohol. You do not drink. And in terms of like how women are expected to present themselves in Islam, so technically speaking, it's only, to my understanding, it's only mandatory for women to cover their hair. But a lot of Muslim women don't cover their hair. It's a choice. And that's the other element that is missing here. So no one should be coerced, and this is for everyone, but particularly in Islam, it's very overtly stated that no one should be coerced into converting to Islam. It's also overtly stated that no one should be judgmental of how you practice, and no one should coerce you into certain behaviors, like covering your hair, for example. So in Islam, you are supposed to cover your hair, and wear loose clothing, but all of that is up to interpretation, and a lot of women do not choose to cover their hair. A lot of Egyptian women don't choose to cover their hair. A lot of Muslim women all around the world and all the time choose not to cover their hair, because that is, in Islam, a very deeply personal choice, and the average outsider should not have any ability to interfere with that person's personal choice. And I'm not just saying this because it's like my opinion. That's literally what the religion says. Okay? It is, okay? So then we kind of get the like viewpoint that he especially is unwilling to compromise. He especially has these expectations of how she should act. And he has absolutely no idea what her background is and how she grew up and what her thoughts and opinions are, because he didn't ask her. It was his way, it was his culture above hers, and there was no room for discussion or negotiation. And she was naive enough to think that this was like exotic and interesting. So, bad.
Months had passed of not being with him, I still thought about Mahmoud every single day. Mahmoud is totally different than anybody I've ever dated. He's not a tortured poet, art kind of guy. He's just like such a pure, honest person who stands up for what he believes. And he loves me like I've never been loved before.
That's kind of what I meant when I said, like, there's a reason they're able to hoodwink you. And again, I'm generalizing. These are my opinions. If you don't like it, I'm so sorry. But Arab men care about you so much more than Americans care about you. And when she says that he wasn't like another man that she had dated, he wasn't like a tortured poet, I know exactly what she's talking about. And I feel like, and this is my reasoning for not really gelling that well with American men, is that they really have a selfish agenda, which all men do, all of them, right? But really, like, American men are so cold towards you as their girlfriend. They are so entitled to, like, your money, your time, your affection, and they do not reciprocate, in my opinion. And maybe this is just chalking it all up to bad experiences from me, but, like, the reason that I have been in this situation, and I know exactly what she's talking about, is because they make you feel like they really care about you. They fuss over you, and they fawn over you, and they call you beautiful, and they call you all kinds of beautiful pet names, and they ask you how you slept, and what did you have for lunch, and what do you want for breakfast? Can I get this for you? They shower you with gifts and attention. It's not hard to understand why I have enjoyed it and why she would enjoy it. I understand. It's a little bit intoxicating at times. That's next to Danielle and Johan, and Danielle's doing her skincare outside because there's no room. And then they're gonna go check out the butcher shop that he owns, and they go in, and she's like excited to see what he's accomplished. And she is immediately deeply unimpressed because there is a bunch of meat sitting on a counter with flies all over it. And we see that he's also, like, quite dodgy about the finances of the business. And he's just not telling her, like, how this works. And he's kind of saying, like, well, this isn't your country and this is how people do it here. And she's like, no, this is gross and unsanitary. And also, where are the finances coming from for this business, because it makes no sense. And yeah. Next we cut to Jen meeting her friends, and we learned that Jen, like, from her friends, we learned that Jen has rushed into marriage. Her friends have been very unsupportive of past relationships, and with good reason, but Jen gets really defensive, and her friends are also super harsh with her. And my question is, like, has this ever worked? Has their behavior towards her and acting this harsh and this, like, I don't know, mean, honestly, has this ever worked to get her to come back around and maybe listen to what they were saying? I doubt it.
Okay, and I say this with love, but with your relationships, I swear to God, with you, it's like, if you want to look up insanity in the dictionary, there's a picture of you in there.
Oh my God.
Just regarding men.
Okay, y'all, come on.
No, wait, listen. Because you're doing the same thing over and over again, except now you're going to India. This is the cycle with Jen. She moved somewhere for a guy. Once it was from Texas to DC. Once it was from Florida to Texas. Now, Oklahoma to India? She keeps repeating the same relationship patterns with different men. She deserves for someone to bend over backwards for her because she's doing all the work here. what about his family culture-wise? Isn't it kind of not
Very different.
approved to marry someone who's not from India?
His family doesn't actually know yet.
Blazing red flag. You don't care that he's not proud to introduce you?
No,
Maybe he's
he
ashamed
did
of
introduce
you.
me
I don't want to
But
sound
as
rude.
what? Your friend?
as a friend. Yeah,
That's messed up. I would not be okay with that.
You don't deserve to be hidden.
You're basically his concubine in America and is his green card ticket. And I'm sorry if it sounds harsh, but I'd rather tell you now than before you go all the way out there.
This last lunch before I go is not the lunch that I had in mind. I was just trying to see my girlfriends before I left the country, but I realized I should have done the Irish goodbye. Like, what the hell was I thinking?
I think it's a bad idea. Unless,
I think you're setting yourself up for failure and another heartache.
I think that they were a bit mean to her. And again, if you want someone to kind of hear you out and hear your opinion, I feel like you need to greet them with love a bit more and less just aggression. They're really aggressive with her. And again, I ask, like, has it ever worked? Has that tactic ever worked with her? And granted, like, we may be only seeing that this is the case with this relationship, and they have, like, tried to like who she's been with before, but they really seem not supportive of any relationship that she's in. And I don't know. I just don't think that that is the correct strategy when working, like, when your friend is kind of doing something that you disagree with. Like, the idea is not to alienate them. And if I were her, I would Irish goodbye as well. If that was kind of where I was at, where I felt so backed in a corner that I was not able to do anything right, I'd Irish goodbye. I probably have. Also in this clip, they convince her that it's a good idea that they catfish him. And first of all, I'm extremely against this. I think this is such toxic, nasty person behavior that this is just bad. Like, I don't feel like this is loving and caring. I think that this is toxic and really super mean. And And also, like, what right does anyone have to interfere in anyone's relationship? You know, if you don't agree, then take a step back. Just make your friend aware that you love them and you appreciate them, but you're kind of gonna take a little vacation from their bullshit with this, and, you know, mind your business. Live your life and don't interfere in other people's relationships. That's not okay. Next, we move on to Nicole talking to Mahmoud on the phone, and I noticed she's wearing a long sleeve button up and, like, in order to call him. And I kind of hate already that it turns into this discussion of, like, what is she wearing in order to make him happy. So, like, it's subtle, but I would notice something like that because, I've been there, girl. Not specifically with that, but I get this. And she asks him kind of the cutesy, demure wife questions like, "Did you have coffee, baby?" Yeah, I know. So she's kind of trying her best to play the part a little bit. And then, she kind of gets into it with him about what she should be able to expect going forward.
The biggest thing and the strangest thing that we fight about constantly is my clothes. We fight endlessly for hours about what I can and cannot wear. We need to make sure that I know what the expectations are, because I remember you saying you just need to cover your body. That was what you told me. I thought that was the rule.
Okay, my love, like, you know, I always ask you to cover your body, because you can cover your body, but you making like this so tight, can't show like your body, so no.
So now you're saying like tight is an issue.
Of course, I always said that.
No, I thought it was just that there needed to be like fabric covering like my skin.
Like, it's really, really disturbing that it's just gonna turn into this argument over and over and over, and it's going to be a constant analysis of what she's doing and what she's saying and where did you go and who were you with and what were you wearing. And I've lived that, and I can tell you, no. Nope, it's not okay. It's not okay. It's never going to be okay. You may be able to handle certain things for a certain period of time, but if you're used to living openly and you're used to living in the United States, you're just never going to accept that, in my opinion, unless you're really, really Muslim in your heart. Really, really, really. I don't think you're going to be able to accept that. I don't think she's going to be able to accept that. It may be different if you convert, and if you convert for purely religious reasons, I have seen that. But if you are converting to be with a man, and then all of a sudden these expectations are placed upon you that are not coming from your spiritual center, they're coming from a man, you're not going to accept it. Sorry. And she admits that she didn't ask enough questions going into this. She admits that she was really naive. And what they have to do in order for this to be successful is that they have to create a safe middle ground where both of them feel comfortable, and they may not be able to even like broach certain subjects, which sounds like kind of limiting, but at the same time, they're just never going to understand each other's perspectives. And there has to be kind of a safe space for the two of them. And I feel like all couples within this paradigm like this struggle to create that space. I have struggled to create that space. So. In this clip, she talks about certain things that are complicating to the relationship. By the way, I'm just gluing my things. And it talks about Chris's narcolepsy, Chris's ghosting her, kind of why she ended up talking to that other woman and what her justification was. So it's looking a little bit interesting, but it's mainly to just set up the upcoming episode where they actually meet. And yeah, we're gonna see how Jamie tends to deal with Chris's medical problems. So then it cuts to Jen then it cuts back to Jen, and Jen is on the phone with one of her friends, and they are talking about the fact that this friend catfished Rishi, and Rishi responded in a way that wasn't up to the standard of the friend. So,
Like he didn't say anything incriminating.
Why is he asking, where am I from? And how do we know each other?
Yeah, I get that that's like weird.
Shady. It's a red flag. Do you not want to see that?
I don't know. I mean, I just think that he's confused. His English isn't great.
No, you're making excuses for him. Why? Is he even responding to my messages, asking me, a female, a pretty attractive female, who I am and where I'm from? Why? This guy seems shady as
So I feel like her friends are kind of coming at this from the wrong angle and kind of accusing him of wanting a green card. And we know, and I understand that Rishi doesn't want a green card. I really don't think that that's at play here. That's not to say I really like what he's doing or that I like this response from him, but I don't know. I don't want to jump to a conclusion with this too quickly, to be honest. I don't think it necessarily means what she thinks it means, which sounds, again, I know how that sounds, but I don't know. I don't think it is what she thinks it is. Also, do you see this? Why? We also learned that Jen doesn't follow Rishi on social media. And again, this is an example of her just trying to do something different in order to achieve a little bit of a different result. And she says that she's been jealous in the past, and she's taken things like on social media that were out of context, things like that. So again, I appreciate the effort on Jen's part, but it's probably with the wrong person. but she's gonna go forward with it. So there you go. We finished the episode cutting back to Danielle and Johan, and they're just going back and forth about the books and the business, and I think he's shady as hell. They're fighting. He's in the red in his business, and she's asking him straight up, like, where is this money coming from? Like, the business is in the red, 40 something thousand pesos or whatever, and she's like, what? How? Where is this coming from? I don't know, and I can't give a hypothesis as to where the money is coming from and why. Like, I just think he's shady. I think he's shady, but I can't, it's not clear to me from what direction, you know what I mean? It's not that I don't think he's shady, and maybe he's got something else. That's kind of what I think he has. I think he is talking to someone else too. I think there's something going on the side that she doesn't know about. That would be my concern here, is that he's kind of working some multiple angles here, and then he's got that's what I'm worried about, is that he's got more than one iron in the fire here. All right, here's the finished look. It turned out okay. I'm all right with it. Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. So that is the end of episode 2. Let me know what you think. And again, please feel free to like and subscribe. Always comment. Always let me know what you think. Do you think I got these character evaluations correct? Also, I know they're not characters. They're people. They're real people. This is really their lives. So, ooh. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time. So then we cut to Jamie, Chris's partner Jamie, in Colombia, and she's just getting her hair done. She, I guess, used to be a model, so we learned that she used to be in the modeling industry.
Say anything incriminating.
Why is he asking, where am I from? And how do we know each other?
Yeah, I get that that's like weird.
Shady. It's a red flag. Do you not want to see that?
I don't know. I mean, I just think that he's confused. His English isn't great.
No, you're making excuses for him. Why? Is he even responding to my messages, asking me, a female, a pretty attractive female, who I am and where I'm from? Why? This guy seems shady as